Independence and adventure. The drudgery that had accompanied transportation gave way to sheer fun. It was out of that sense of amusement that the new sport of auto racing was born. Through the early years, heroes like Barney Oldfield, Wilbur Shaw, and Rex Mays drove mechanical monsters with names like Red Devil, Green Dragon, and Golden Submarine into the American imagination. From the beginning, and for the 97 years since, a converted horse track in Wisconsin has been the taproot for this growing spectacle. In the 1990s, a new symbol of American independence arrived at the great Milwaukee Mile, ready to add its own chapter to motorsports history. New heroes with names like Ron Hornaday, Jack Sprague, Andy Houston, and Stacy Compton vie for the top spot in a division that has seen 10 winners in 12 races. Today, the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series kicks off the Independence Day weekend on CBS Sports. It has become a July 4th weekend tradition. NASCAR racing in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. The NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, for the 5th time ever, has come calling to one of America's most famous racing addresses as we are live today at the Milwaukee Mile in West Allis, Wisconsin. Weather-wise, well, we had a little bit of a rain shower at about 9:30 this morning, and there are chances of rain showers throughout the day, but the weatherman seems to think we'll get the full 200 miles, 200 laps in today under blustery conditions here in Wisconsin. Hi, everybody. I'm Eli Gold. Welcome to CBS Sports coverage of NASCAR. And when I say NASCAR, I mean NASCAR, because all day long, from here in Milwaukee, through the preview show for the Pepsi 400, and on to this evening's live flag-to-flag coverage of the Pepsi 400 from Daytona, we've got it all for you right here on CBS Sports. Now, this evening, when the NASCAR Winston Cup teams are led to the green flag by Joe Nemechek, they'll be racing at Daytona, where the turns are banked 31 degrees. Well, we've got just the opposite story here at the Milwaukee Mile, where the turns are flat, the straightaways are flat, and very basically, the driver really has to finesse their truck around this 1 mile layout to make sure they get maximum speed and performance from the racing machine. Yesterday in practice, it wasn't quite like that for Greg Biffle, but by the time qualifying rolled around, Glenn Jarrett, they figured out how to finesse that truck around, didn't they?
Oh, they did, Eli. In fact, Greg Biffle had a perfect day yesterday. It was a perfect day for qualifying. It was cloudy, cool, very, very pleasant. Greg Biffle was the fastest in both rounds of practice, and he backed it up, went out and set a brand new track record in qualifying. Greg, truck's been fast ever since you unloaded, but that's a pretty good field of trucks behind you there. Can you keep them back there?
Well, I certainly can. I hope we can. I tell you, the Granger Ford was great yesterday, and the guys done a great job for me here, and we were a little bit off right off the trailer, but we made some adjustments, and I got used to the track again, and I think we'll be okay. But like you said, there's some good trucks back there, and we're hoping for a top 3 finish and finish in front of the 24 truck and gain a little on points, and we'll be happy.
Okay, well, Greg Biffle is on the pole, but one of Wisconsin's favorite sons is starting back in row 3. Steve Burns is with him.
Hey, Glenn, that would be Jay Sauter. He will start 5th. Speaking of 5, there are 5 drivers in this field from Wisconsin. Now, Jay Sauter's dad, Jim, raced here, and he won a stock car race. But, Jay, I know, we keep reminding you, you haven't won here on this racetrack. Can you do it today?
Well, I believe we can. I'll tell you what, the truck's pretty awesome today. These guys have done an awesome job with it, and we're going to take her to the front.
All right, best of luck, Jay. And Eli, there should be plenty of fan support. Jim has 11 brothers and sisters. Jay, I should say, Jay Sauter.
And they are taking up just about an entire section here at the Milwaukee Mile. Joining us on the telecast today, a gentleman who here at this racetrack has finished 4th, 5th, and 6th, right now recovering from some injuries suffered in Memphis, Tennessee earlier this year. Rick Corelli, great to have you with us, and clearly you do drive this racetrack well. What's the key to a good lap here?
The key to this racetrack is to have some patience. The corners are so long here, and the straightaways are real long. You can carry some speed in there, and you got to keep the truck turning good all day.
Well, we'll find out what happens over the course of the next 2.5 hours. 200 miles, 200 laps here as CBS Sports brings you NASCAR on this July 4th weekend. We're coming right back. trucks getting set to go racing here at the Milwaukee Mile, where over the years, right side tire wear has been very much a storyline. But Glenn Jarrett, you talked to the teams here this weekend, and they're telling us just the opposite.
Yeah, I tell you what, it's been a big surprise this year. They're telling me that the wear now has been on the left side, particularly the left front. But there is a tire rule in effect here today. The tire rule is this. When the teams got here yesterday, they were given 4 complete sets of tires to qualify and practice on and to run the race on today. So they can use those 4 sets of tires any way they want to, except under caution, they can only change 2 tires. If they come in under green, they can change all 4. And, you know, the Craftsman Truck Series used to have a halftime break. Well, that is no more. They now do regular full-speed pit stops. And since they've done that, the average margin of victory has dwindled to only 1.7 seconds. It really seems to have increased competition. Right, Steve Burns?
That's exactly right, Glenn. And one crew chief told me they don't want to pit under green. They want to play the caution game. If they pit under green, have to change 4 tires, or even 2, they could lose a lap. It only takes 30 seconds to get around this racetrack, so they'll want to wait for a caution flag to come out. Now, if we do get a long green flag run, the teams can go 83, 85 laps, maybe a little bit more if they push it. So that's the story here on Strategy on Pit Road, Eli.
And we have seen over the years, folks, where races here at the Milwaukee Mile have often been fuel mileage strategy storylines throughout the course of the day. Right now, though, it's time for us to wrap up our talking and let these fellas start driving. Let's go trackside for the command we're waiting for to start the Milwaukee 200.
On behalf of the die-hard racing fans of Wisconsin, gentlemen, start your engines.
The starting grid and the start of the Milwaukee 200 when we come back. At the Wisconsin State Fair Park, the fairgrounds here in Milwaukee, which includes the Milwaukee Mile. And today's Milwaukee 200 for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Let's take a look at the starting grid. Greg Biffle, 3rd pole of the year, 7th of his career. Randy Tolsma, a brand new truck. Jack Sprague, 1st in points. Stacy Compton, 2nd in points. Jay Sauter is the Wisconsin favorite. You heard from him earlier. And veteran Joe Ruttman. Scott Hansen, he's going to have to go to the back of the field. He's moved to a backup truck after a practice accident. And Alabama's Rick Crawford. The Texas winner is Dennis Setzer. And Ron Hornaday, who is 3rd in points. 2nd Milwaukee start for Andy Houston and veteran Ron Barfield. Lonnie Rush and 6-time series winner Mike Bliss are together in row number 7. The top rookie Mike Stefanik and Kevin Harvick. Kevin Sawinski is an American Speed Association standout, and Marty Houston. Terry Cook and Richard Petty's driver Jimmy Hensley. Returning after injuries, Tim Steele. Good to see him back. And for the NASCAR Busch Series, Tony Raines. Mike Wallace is 7th in points. And Lance Norrick, 75th start of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series for him. Rob Morgan, a former road racer turned oval tracker. And Denver, Colorado's Jerry Robertson. Mike Dillon is in a backup truck to Jay Sauter's machine. Wisconsin favorite Brian Refner. And the coach, when he's not working for CBS's NFL Today, Jerry Glanville's on the racetrack. He's here along with rookie David Starr. And the other drivers in now on provisional starting spots, making up the 34 truck field. Rick Corelli, how difficult for a rookie here? It's tough enough for a veteran. What if you're not familiar with a flat 1-mile track?
Oh, it's very difficult. I mean, the speeds are so great going down the front straightaway, and, you know, everybody's a little excited as they're getting to have the first green flag that they have a little tendency to overdrive a little bit getting in that corner.
The race analysis today, very simple. 200 laps around the 1-mile racetrack, and there you see the track record held by Ron Hornaday. If you're a fan of the Chevy Silverado, if you're a fan of the Dodges or the Fords, that's how they break down. And I'll tell you that Chevy Silverado has become a new truck that really has gone to the forefront. You didn't know what kind of growing pains they were going to have.
That's true. It's been very good. I mean, when we opened up in Homestead, it tested real well, and it's been excellent all year. And a lot of guys are figuring them out as we go. We had the old Chevy style, and it took us some time to get familiar with the Silverado, but it's coming along.
And again, the 1 mile at the Milwaukee Mile, not much banking at all. 9.25 degrees, but you really don't use it, do you?
No, not at all. There's so much corner there that you don't use, and there's a whole bunch right there that you have to be able to pick the throttle up early in the middle of the corner. That's the big key to the whole race right there.
See how tight things are atop the standings for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series as we get set to go racing in race number 13 of the 25. Glad you are with us as CBS Sports starts a busy day of NASCAR coverage when we move aside the Pepsi 400 preview, and then this evening at 8 o'clock Eastern Time, live flag-to-flag coverage of the Pepsi 400 from Daytona. But right now, cinch up those seat belts. Here we go from Milwaukee. Greg Biffle showing the way, 7th different race that he has led this year. 4th place is that black number 3, Jay Sauter, catching Stacy Compton to the outside in that blue number 86. And it's like many other tracks, Rick Corelli, if you get out of that groove, you could be in trouble. Yeah,
you can see everybody's fighting there for the inside line. That's a preferred line around here at the Milwaukee Mile. And you get up out of that groove, you're going to get past early in the race when there's a lot of fresh tires here.
That black and white number 1, that is Dennis Setzer. Way wide, that's Joe Ruttman in the Dana Dodge. That's the scramble up front. Randy Tolsma, the Idaho native, is in that black truck, chasing down Biffle. 14, Rick Crawford of Mobile, Alabama, had his first top 10 of the year a weekend ago at Watkins Glen on the road course. Mike Stefanik in that number 66 inside of Joe Ruttman. Joe still can't get back in line at the number 18. You see the rundown in the upper left-hand corner of your screen. Anybody whose truck number is in green has picked up a position in the last lap. Anyone whose number might be red, like you see Marty Houston's is, well, he has dropped a position on the last lap. Up front, Randy Tolsma for the lead. Got it. So Randy Tolsma, lap number 5, takes the lead here at Milwaukee. First race he has led since the season opener in Homestead. But an interesting note, Rick, is the fact that Tolsma has run very well here in other types of racing machines, USAC sprints and other type of stock cars, as opposed to the truck here today. So I guess familiarity does breed something to you.
That's true. When you get to a racetrack like this, you know, it's still the same old racetrack, no matter what kind of automobile you're in, or sprint car or truck. And, you know, Randy, they got a great short track program where they're out here on the mile racetracks, and real flat racetracks they run really well at.
Tolsma ran a midget race here and finished 3rd, and a Silver Crown race, finished 4th back in 1993. So there he is as the race leader ahead of Biffle, Sprague, Sauter, and Setzer. Let's follow up on the change in tire wear from the old right side tires that were getting the abuse to what we're hearing now, as we heard from Glenn earlier, about the left side. What are these trucks doing now? How are they different to change that tire wear?
Well, the biggest thing is a flat racetrack. A lot of guys want to run an 1.5-inch drop snout truck, and it turns a lot better. Right now, guys are down on their air pressure, see where they're at earlier and later on in the race where they have to adjust the air pressure. And the left front tire seems to wear a lot more in a drop snout truck versus a standard truck.
7th place, the 86 Compton. The 60 is Houston. Remember, there are 2 Houstons in the field today. 60 is Andy Houston, and the 75 is his brother Marty Houston. Both are sons of the legendary NASCAR Busch Series star Tommy Houston.
I was talking to Andy earlier. That's the same truck they ran at Loudon that they have really a lot of success with. They ran it earlier this year at Pikes Peak and at Homestead.
8 laps are complete. That again, the battle for 7th spot. Andy Houston, a standout rookie of a year ago. He's learned to be a whole lot more patient.
That's one of the big keys here, and I think that's one big thing that Greg Biffle has learned over the last year. He's become quite a race truck driver here, and patience is his virtue right now.
Lapping has begun on the racetrack. Bo Carpenter was in that yellow truck. You just saw the leaders go by. Good scramble there as Houston tries to grab 7th away from Compton.
Still out there, dig on the bottom.
Looks like Andy used that lap truck as a pick there a little bit and got up underneath Stacy.
16, Ron Hornaday right behind.
Still out there. Clear high.
Hey, you can't drive in too terribly deeply, can you?
No, you can't. See, that's a big thing right there.
Right there.
Exactly. Andy came off that corner, got in there a little hot, and he's going to lose a position to Hornaday, too.
Does get in line just ahead of the 55 of Ron Barfield. You got to know where that thin line is.
See, right now, all the air pressure's coming up on the tires, and guys are starting to get a feel where their truck's at. You'll see some of them start running away, and some of them start backing up.
Phil Bonifield has taken his truck behind the wall. They'll take a closer look at his machine, but right now 33 of the 34 starters still on the Milwaukee Mile. Up front, Randy Tolsma over Greg Biffle and Jack Sprague. CBS Sports coverage of the Milwaukee 200 will continue after this message and a word from your local station. Glanville at 30th goes a lap down.
You notice Jack Sprague, he's starting to run a little higher line up there through the corners and trying to work that in. And, Jack's had a lot of success here, and maybe here in a couple more laps we'll check him if we can see him catching Greg Biffle.
He turns well here, and that allows him to get back on the throttle a little more quickly.
You know, Jack's runs really good off of 3 and 4. I mean, I think he's pretty equal through 1 and 2 with everybody, but Jack's got it figured out here in 3 and 4, and he gets a good run up the front straightaway. You can see as he closes in right there on the back of the 50 truck.
Of course, you talk about a man who likes to run and runs well on the mile tracks. It is Jack Sprague. Watch that battle for the lead there. It looks like Mr. Biffle's getting ready to think about making a move.
That's it. He's turning a little better than Randy right now. I think Randy might have, that lap truck there got him in a little problem, and but now you see up the front straightaway, he's got a good run pulling up that.
And Biffle has a good roll going in general. 4 straight top 10 finishes, including 3 top 5s and the win in Portland. So he's on a roll, but Glenn, anytime you come to a flat track, if you don't count Jack Sprague in the picture, you're making a mistake.
Oh, absolutely, Eli. You know, Rick, I was watching him, too, run that little bit higher line. I'm standing down here toward turns 1 and 2. And crew chief Dennis Conner just told me the truck's just a little bit loose right now. So Jack's not able to turn the truck down quite the way he wants to down at this end of the racetrack. So just fighting a tiny bit of a loose condition right now. They'll adjust it first chance they get.
And another thing,
that's a good battle right there. The 1 is Dennis Setzer trying to hang on to 4th with the 3 of Jay Sauter and the 14 of Rick Crawford right there. Setzer, the winner at Texas early this year.
Exactly. And you can see Rick Crawford, he's having a good run, too. He's right there on the back of Jay's bumper, and, you know, he's due for a good run here.
As we had said earlier, Crawford, who was the second truck back behind Sauter, that little bit of a light blue you just saw, had that top 10 at Watkins Glen a weekend ago, and he's also the track record holder here when the NASCAR Slim Jim All-Pro Series runs here. Nobody has gone faster in that type of car than has Rick Crawford, who set the record years ago.
Exactly. You see how they're running that corner right there? It's a perfect shot here out of Dennis Sensor's truck. They want to get in there low, and they got a little diamond in the middle of that corner. The corners are so round here that if you don't get that little diamond to it, the truck wants to put a big push leaving the exit. And you'll see Jay work himself up, and they'll come right back down.
The Mopar onboard camera giving us that view rearward from Setzer back to 5th place Jay Sauter.
And it looks like he's running away a little bit, so Dennis looks like he's running pretty decent right now.
Up front, Biffle still, you see in that 50 truck, a little wider through the corner.
Yeah, he's, I think Greg's sort of just finding out where Randy's at. He's sort of working the racetrack. You see if there's a high groove here. And, you know, there is one up there, and you can see him right there get down on the bottom as Randy got in a little too hot and pushed up a little bit.
Randy Tolsma's truck, the number 25, it is a brand new truck that they built along the lines of the truck they used earlier this year in Homestead, Florida, because that was a great racing machine.
Exactly. I mean, I got the chance to race with him there at Phoenix and Homestead, and I think he was on the pole at Homestead, and he ran real well and led the race, and he told me he lost that truck in Texas here a couple weeks ago, so they came back with a brand new one, and I'll tell you what, it's doing really good right here at the start of this race.
By the way, Glenn, Greg Biffle's crew chief, I know Randy Goss has not been feeling all that great this weekend. How's he doing today?
Eli, he's down in the pits. He's up on top of the war wagon as usual, but he's in a lot of pain. He's got some back and neck problems. In fact, I just gave him the name of my chiropractor to call when he gets back into North Carolina. But hey, Rick, I gotta take my hat off to you, man. You're right on top of things for a first-time guy in the booth. One of the reasons that Biffle is searching around on the racetrack a little bit right now, the truck is just a tiny, tiny bit tight. And so they're telling him to try some different lines to see if they can free that thing up a little bit. So just a little bit snug right now.
That's one thing we'll notice, too. The more rubber they get on the racetrack, the tighter these trucks will get. You know, and once the fuel load comes off, we get more nose weight, and the trucks will start getting a little tighter. So you try and find that happy medium so when you make that first stop, you can make that adjustment. Is that the 3 truck that looks off the pace right there?
Everybody's going through, and they make a quick move. That is going to be the backup, the one that Mike Dillon is driving, the backup to the Jay Sauter machine that did slow and goes down the pit lane. There you see Mike Wallace in the number 2 all the way up to 15, riding with the Team ASE truck and the onboard cameras.
You know, Mike was real fast in practice yesterday. I think they just had a little problem, missed a little bit qualifying or something, but look for him to run up front. They've been running up front all year, and you know, that's probably a really good truck.
There you see he's moved up those 8 positions. I saw his crew chief, Tim Cahuth, in the hotel last night. I said, Timmy, what happened? He goes, well, we didn't qualify well. He said, but the truck then fixed itself because by the time final practice wrapped up yesterday, he said, we were doing all right. But you got to remember, folks, that if you follow the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, nobody that's with that truck now was with that team when Mike Bliss drove it. They made a wholesale change. There were some crew guys who never really worked in racing, period. So they're still learning, and through all of that, Mike Wallace is having himself a fine run here in 1999. Up front, it's still 0.3 of a second for Tolsma over Greg Biffle, Jack Sprague, and Dennis Setzer. Rick Crawford is 5th early in the Milwaukee 200. No change in the top 3. Quick reminder, Sunday on 60 Minutes. Why do politicians say the things they do? Because you told them to. That's coming up Sunday on 60 Minutes. Eli Gold, Rick Corelli, Glenn Jarrett, Steve Burns on hand here at the Milwaukee Mile. We have been caution-free if you're just joining us. Greg Biffle, the pole sitter, led the first 4 laps. Randy Tolsma has been on top since then. And that's been about the margin of separation. Pretty good numbers there for Tolsma. Picked up a victory in Bakersfield, California.
Randy's a great racer. He changed whole teams last year. He's driving the Chevrolet, and this year he's driving the Dodge, and that's all a brand new group there. And actually, he's a teammate with Stacy Compton, so they can compare notes. Randy and Stacy, they drive a lot alike. They have a lot of similarities.
Certainly, Stacy Compton has had himself a magnificent season. There you see he's in 7th on the rundown in the upper left-hand corner of the screen.
You keep seeing Jack hanging back there, and I've been noticing here, Dennis Sensor's been probably running the most steadiest speed of the whole racetrack around this race, and catching them pretty decent right now.
That's Sauter and Compton. Sauter in the 3, Compton in the 86. That is 6th and 7th as we ride with the RC Dodge and Stacy Compton. Up front, Greg Biffle in the 50.
He's got him by a fender now. Randy's gonna have to surrender that lead right now.
Outside.
Greg Biffle is the new leader here at the Milwaukee Mile, lap number 40.
You see Dennis working the back of Jack Sprague there too.
There's Sprague, and there is Dennis Setzer. That's the truck that Bob Keselowski and Ron Keselowski have fielded over the years. Dennis took over at times last year when Bob Keselowski had a little back and hip problem. And Glenn, here's a guy that we have all seen for years, Dennis Setzer, especially up around your neck of the woods near Hickory, North Carolina.
Yeah, Eli, Dennis Setzer's very first NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race was here in 1995. He drove a Dodge truck into a second-place finish, almost won the race. It would have been a stunning upset at that time. But Dennis has been reporting that his truck is a little bit snug, a little tight, but yet he keeps inching in on the leaders. And I got a question for you, Rick. So far, everybody I've reported on said they're either loose or too tight, and they're the first 3 trucks in the field. Are you guys ever satisfied?
I don't think as a race car driver you never are, but it's a lot easier to drive something tight than it is to drive it loose. You see Jack running that high line to try and keep his truck straight coming off the corner, and Dennis feels real secure with that wheel being a little snug, but it don't look that snug to me the way he's coming up off that corner.
Now, Glenn, how about you? Because you used to run the NASCAR Busch Series here at Milwaukee. Did you ever get comfortable on this mile?
Only after I spun out and hit the wall and had to end the race. I was pretty comfortable. Yeah, I could do this.
43 laps on the board. Still in the early stages as Dennis Setzer continues the chase of Jack Sprague, but up front, Greg Biffle now by a half second, while Mike Wallace's team watches his progress here in Milwaukee. This season, you got that right. Riding with the coach here at Milwaukee, you see the top 3. Quick reminder, folks, there's free shipping on your favorite driver gear this weekend only at cbs.sportsline.com/racing or on America Online. Just enter keyword Shop Sportsline. You'll be all set with all the latest. The first uniforms Ford truck. Jerry Glanville being bypassed by Jerry Robertson in the number 26. The coach is running in 29th position right now, 3 laps down.
There goes our leader, Greg Biffle, now coming up on Glanville and on Jerry Robertson right there. That truck's working really well. You can see how good he's getting through the corners.
Robertson's already a couple of laps down. Biffle is working. You know, these guys don't just pull over and let the leader by.
No, that shows you how good that truck is. You know, yesterday in practice, like Glenn highlighted on, his truck was good all day. I mean, he unloaded and he was fast, and he put about 3/10 on the field at one time during the day. And that truck's on a roll, so he's going to get some guys who are going to fight him a little bit here now.
That battle is a good one there for 6. Sauter and Compton. Steve, neither one can shake the other here today.
No, the 86 of Stacy Compton won't turn that well, Eli. And you know, at the top of the show, you talked about Randy Tolsma racing different vehicles on this racetrack. Jay Sauter has raced an ASA stock car here, and even though the ASA car is lighter, I asked him if having knowledge of this racetrack was a help, and he said absolutely. You know where the vehicle needs to be as you go into the turns and come out of the turns, so even though they handle different, they're a heavier vehicle to drive, having that knowledge is a big help.
That's something we talked about earlier.
You can see him, you know, working the traffic right here, and you can see Jay and Stacy's truck are real tight. As you see them moving up in there, they're running that real high line. This is where everybody's starting to think like, man, I need a little yellow here so we can get some adjustments on the truck. And look at Rick Crawford passing Dennis Senser right there.
That's 4th place that just swapped hands right there. Crawford in the 14. around Dennis Setzer.
He's having a real good run. You know, Rick's had great success in every kind of automobile racing he's done, and here he is in the trucks, and this year he's struggling a little bit, but who knows? Milwaukee may be the day for him.
Could be. You know, the interval now beginning to spread. Once Biffle got clear, he is pulled by 3 seconds away from this group of trucks right here.
Exactly. I mean, Greg, I think, was playing a little possum there behind Randy Tolzman, feeling him out. And he finally found that little spot where his truck worked, and then the air pressure coming up, the fuel burning off, probably got his truck where it's starting to come around tremendously better right now. See Crawford running up on the back of Jack Sprague there with that lap truck there right in the way of...
that held Jack up. Robertson's machine did just a bit.
Exactly. But you see Rick Crawford's truck's running right there on the bottom of the racetrack, and Jack's got to run the high line there. And they say he's fighting a loose condition, but to me it looks like it's a little tight right there in the middle of the corner. But you can tell Jack's got some great horsepower coming down that front straightaway. He's running way up out of the groove, as you can see it right there, and Rick's trying to keep it down there on the yellow line.
Just joining us, Greg Biffle led the first 4 laps. Randy Tolzma laps 5 through 39. Biffle took over at lap 40. There again, that Sauter-Compton battle. Now, Stacy Compton in the 86 last year was leading here when he ran out of fuel. So he knows that this place owes him one, or at least he thinks it does.
Exactly. I mean, you know, when you come in as a race car driver, race truck driver, you come in here and you go, you know, this place does owe me something. So you always come back with that in your mind that, hey, I'm going to get this one. And Stacy's very patient. This year he's run great all year at every racetrack. I think he only had 1 DNF this year at PPIR, and he's very patient. He'll get that truck and he'll work on it, and they'll make an adjustment, him and Kevin, and we'll see that truck move up front here shortly.
PPIR being Pikes Peak International Raceway out of Colorado Springs. Of course, you are from Denver, so you're on a first-name basis with that track.
Yep, I need to explain that a little bit better, but I'll get it here shortly. The thing about Milwaukee, they all get strung out. You know, when there's no yellows here and your truck's handling bad, well, you just wish you could find a yellow. And
yeah.
Here's Marty Houston going.
He's in the 75, about to go a lap down. You know, this is like Daytona for these Wisconsin guys. Scott Hansen, Kevin Sawinski, Jay Sauter. They have all longed to run at this racetrack.
I know how that is every time you come home.
I won my very first big race, is what I want to say, when I went to the ASA series in my rookie years. So a lot of friends, a lot of family here, and race like this kind of gets you pumped up a couple weeks before you even get here.
We've got to see a lot of racing here with a lot of great drivers like Dick Trickle and Bobby Allison, like I mentioned, and Mark Martin. So, you know, come here and as a kid and watch those guys race. And you know, we're dreaming when we go home that someday we had that opportunity. And fortunately we did. We got here in an ASA car, and now with the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series.
A lot of the races were held during the fair here, and I can remember coming down and watching the USAC races and getting to see A.J. Foyt and Bobby Allison and some of those guys. And then my dad started doing some of that USAC. I mean, there's just a lot of mystery and intrigue. This was the big track in Wisconsin.
It really was the place, and Jay Sauter finished second here. The first time he ran in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series was on a way to a win last year when he got tangled up with a lap truck and finished 14th. But here now he's got a handful to hold Stacy Compton at bay.
Exactly. Stacy's truck seemed to be working a little better than Jay's right now, and he got a good run up on him when he was passing that lap truck. And they got a heck of a race going on here with themselves.
That's a good battle for 6, but there's the man who's leading by 2 7/10 of a second. CBS Sports coverage of the Milwaukee 200 will continue after this message and a word from your local station. Pretty good power move right there to grab 10th away.
Let's see if he can cut it down and get underneath Andy coming up the front straightaway here.
The 99 truck next to last in line there, just ahead of Rutman. He's been trying inside and outside, trying to look for some place for that Ford truck to work.
Yeah, Mike's, you know, he's very familiar with this racetrack. He's had a lot of good luck here and a lot of bad luck, and he's trying to work his way right there. And there we see Kevin Harvick go by Andy Houston. He's see if he can hold that position right there.
That's for 9th.
Coming with him inside.
Listening to the Houston truck.
Clear.
all of a sudden, you look like Kevin found some speed when he was running in that group. He's been running that group all day, and then all of a sudden, now he's going to drive off.
You know, you talked earlier about these trucks starting to come to a driver as they burn off fuel. A lot of folks may not realize, as you see Harvick work around Rob Morgan, that, I mean, fuel weighs, I would say colloquially, a ton, but, I mean, it weighs a lot.
Actually, it's about 6 pounds a gallon, 6.5 pounds a gallon. The biggest thing with these trucks, you know, the aerodynamic package of them, they're not real aerodynamic. On a real flat racetrack, you've got to run some rear weight. Sometimes when the front, you burn off the rear, you transfer that load of weight to the front. The front tires seem to get a little heavier, and sometimes the trucks will turn a lot better with the aero package and actually keep the front wheels on the ground.
Here comes Rick Crawford. It's just a tick early, possibly, or is it, Steve, 70 laps?
No, actually, Eli, some of the teams said if they weren't handling that well, they would try and stop a little earlier. Of course, Crawford comes in here running in the 4th position. They're going to change right side tires. Crew Chief George Church said they would not make any chassis adjustments. So far, just right side tires for Rick Crawford. And that's going to be it. A little bit slow on the rear tire, a little bit of a problem. And they're having trouble getting all the gas in it. Rick Crawford throws his hands up. Racing 19.7 seconds. Frustrating pit stop for Rick Crawford and his team.
How does a driver have to try and keep his cool now? I mean, are you sitting there banging on the steering wheel, let's go, Rick Corelli, or what is he thinking?
I'll tell you what, that's very frustrating. You know, you come in the pit, you're out there, you're driving your heart out, and, you know, he's running really good up there in the 4th position, comes in, tries to make an early pit stop to get, you know, try and get some more track position. They come in there and the tires, good tire change, and then all of a sudden here the fuel takes a long time to go in. You got to recompose yourself because right now you're going to have cold tires on the outside and hot tires on the inside. You got to realize you got to calm down and drive that truck back and get your rhythm back in there.
Listening to the Biffle team.
Guys there, so be careful picking your way through them.
Now Biffle, as he closes in on that traffic, has built up a 2.5 second lead on Randy Tolsma, who is running in second. There is Sprague in third, who is 6.8 seconds back. Dennis Setzer in the 1 is 7.7 seconds in arrears. And 5th place, Stacy Compton, is 10.1 seconds back. So that shows you what Biffle's done once he got free and clear.
Exactly. As you can see, everybody's truck's starting to get tighter. You know, earlier in the start of the race, you see everybody trying to hug that yellow line right there and coming off, and now they're all diming that corner. And that has a lot to do when the fuel burns off. The front wheels get heavier.
74 laps on the board. You look at Dennis Setzer, who's running well, but not as well as that guy. Greg Biffle retook the lead at lap 40 and is now up by 2.8 seconds here at the Milwaukee Mile. What's transpired thus far, and certainly no cautions to the moment. Dylan, Bonifield, and Rush are off the track. So too now is Jeff Andretti, though they are hoping to get him back into the event. As we are nearing halfway, dodging what had been a questionable weather situation. Joe Ruttman, having made a pit stop, among others, had trouble getting going, but he now pulls away, albeit slowly. Ron Barfield is in. Rob Morgan is in. All of these stops taking place at lap 79, lap 80. Steve, what was the deal with Ruttman?
Boy, Eli, he lost valuable time down there on pit road. They came in, he got service, got gas in the number 18 truck, and they had to lose at least a lap. He just couldn't get the number 18 restarted and refired. As we see now, Stacy Compton getting ready to make his stop on pit road, so we'll take it back upstairs.
Here, too, is the leader. Greg Biffle is in at lap number 81.
Yeah, so you see their sign.
Glenn, here's the leader.
Yeah, Eli, they hoped that they could go as far as lap 84, and I think Randy Tolsma's probably going to follow him in. It will be a 4-tire change on Biffle. They are not going to make any serious adjustments to the truck. The right side, a little bit of trouble on the right side. They finally got him, got those tires changed. Right side's down. As I said, Tolsma is in behind him. They will also do a 4-tire change as well. Left sides are going on Biffle's truck right now. As I said, no chassis adjustment. He is down and away in 24.1 seconds. I know they're probably a little, and they dropped the fuel can out there, spilled a little bit of fuel on the racetrack. And Randy Tolsma just now pulls away he had a worse stop than Biffle did, so Greg certainly did not give up anything to Randy Tolsma in the pits.
Riding with the Mopar Dodge, Dennis Setzer. And for scheduled service, lap number 82. Jay Sauter about set to make his pit stop. Jack Sprague is the race leader. Jack has not stopped as of yet.
Push him, push him, push him, push him. Come on.
You can tell he stalled the truck as we eavesdrop on the racing radio's communication between the pits, the spotters, and Dennis Setzer. Now Jay Sauter, Steve.
Yep, Jay Sauter's going to come in. Now, I talked to the crew chief, Todd Barrier, moments ago. He said they were going to make an air pressure adjustment. Right side tires on for Jay Sauter. The left side's going on. Gas is also going in the truck. So no adjustments other than air pressure. And I'd be interested to ask Rick Pirelli what a minor air pressure adjustment of 1 pound would do to that number 3 truck.
Well, it all depends where they adjusted. If they adjusted right there at the right front or the right rear, obviously his truck was tight, so probably add a pound to the right rear and try and free it up.
Now with Jack Sprague in, let's cover his stop, Glenn.
Sprague is already in, Eli. They're changing the right side tires now. They already got that done. They move around to the left side. They did make a chassis adjustment on the right rear of the truck. Now, before Jack came down pit road, they had a little accident. The guy that picked up the gas can tripped over something. They spilled a little bit of fuel out. They've already got all the fuel in now. 26.4 seconds, so he lost a couple seconds to Biffle on that stop.
That had given the lead to Ron Hornaday. Hornaday is now pitting. It gives the lead to Mike Bliss as the Napa truck is in.
Look for me, Hornaday. Right here. Right here.
Crew makes it a chassis adjustment there. What are they doing?
Now when you're done, guys. Watch me, Ron. Go, 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 go.
Rick, fairly, or at least to Glenn, fairly significant chassis adjustment.
Yes, it was, Eli, and Sandy Jones, the crew chief on Ron's truck, told me that the truck was very, very tight. So what they were doing was taking some bite out of the truck on the right rear to try to free the truck up to make it turn. I think that Rick will agree with me that that's the thing you fight the most here at Milwaukee, is trying to get the truck to turn and get a good grip coming off these long, sweeping corners.
You know, it's a throttle position. If you can get in the corner pretty decent and pick that throttle up, it makes that straightaway so much longer and you got so much more speed. And as Jack was touching, as I was watching here, Jack actually did have a loose condition. He put some bite in the truck.
This battle now, the Napa truck on board with Ron Hornaday and Randy Tolsma. That is 4th and 5th right now, as Mike Bliss is the race leader. Greg Biffle is second. There is the leader. Now, his advantage right now is 19.5 seconds, but of course, that's because we're in the middle of sequencing pit stops here. Everything will cycle back around in moments once Bliss comes in. Scott Hansen making a second pit stop, if you're following his fortunes, here at lap number 88. He was in at 74.
Yeah, Randy Tolsman is racing Ron real hard here, and you know, racing with Ron, it's a tough guy to get around, but it looks like Randy's got the hard line right
You're
now.
tight, right?
Again, racing radios provided by Racing Electronics as we listen in.
Clear behind him.
Hey, Rick.
Clear.
Go ahead, Glenn.
Got a question. When Hornaday came in, as I said, his truck was very, very tight, and they only changed 2 tires. They took some bite out of it, but by not changing the left side tires, that should help to loosen the truck up a little, shouldn't it?
Exactly. Left side tires usually tighten you up, and right side tires usually free you up.
Mike Bliss is in. Glenn, that's going to give the lead back to Biffle.
Yep, the 99 truck of Mike Bliss only took on right side tires as well. I didn't see a chassis adjustment. He is down and away. We're also standing in the 52 pit. Scott Hansen, of course, he had to start in the rear. Scott's got a problem. They think they broke something in the engine. They did get it refired, but it shut off immediately. So it looks like it might be the end of the day for Hansen.
Riding with Hornaday, Tolsma is in the black truck. That's for 4th place.
Well, you know Ron's going to race him hard. He'll race you every inch of that racetrack. And, you know, Randy, that shows you the respect these guys got for each other. You know, Ron had to get out of the throttle there a little bit, as you heard, and see if Randy can get a good run down the back straightaway and see if we can get up underneath him in 3 and 4.
Ron Hornaday has yet to finish worse than 4th here at Milwaukee over the years.
This racetrack probably reminds Ron of a lot when he raced at Saugus. You know, you always just go down there and run right at the bottom of the racetrack, and it was real flat. So, you know, Hornaday does great at every racetrack he gets at. You can see he's going to race him hard and try and get back up underneath him right here.
And that battle settles down for just a moment. Tolsma ahead of Hornaday. Hornaday, by the way, and Jack Sprague, the only 2 drivers to have completed every lap that the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series has ever run here at the Milwaukee Mile over the years. It was 750 coming into the day, and we're nearing 850 right now. Greg Biffle is the leader by 3 4/10 seconds on Rick Crawford. We're back to Milwaukee in a moment. Central. We are live at the Milwaukee Mile, 2 miles away from the halfway point. Greg Biffle, after everybody cycled around, has now pulled away by 6 1/10 seconds on second place Rick Crawford.
Exactly. I mean, Rick Crawford short-pitted that a little bit, probably by about 10 or 11 laps, and only took on 2 tires, where Biffle took on 4. And looks like Greg's working that high line in, and everybody's working that high line in right now, as we see Jack Sprague and Stacy Compton getting there, racing each other pretty hard.
That's 5th place on your screen. Sprague and Compton. Riding with Stacy Compton in the RC Dodge.
You know where you can get him now there, buddy.
You can hear a spotter talk to him. He must be telling him maybe you can get a little, Jack's getting in a little hard. Maybe Stacy can get a good run up off that corner.
Halfway home here at the Milwaukee Mile. Greg Biffle has just taken the crossed flags while we ride with Compton in 6th. The Dodge boys did not have a good weekend last week at Watkins Glen International. The highest finishing Dodge Ram was 13th, but they're trying to avenge that here this weekend, clearly.
That's true. I mean, you got 2 teammates running up in the top 10, and along with Sensor up there. So it shows me. In years past, I don't remember running this high at this racetrack. Maybe it's something new to me or something I needed to find out. But it seems like if you keep that truck down on the bottom, it's going to be a little faster.
You see the running order in the upper left-hand corner.
Lap 101, Stacy, 101.
As we listen in on the Stacy Compton radios, as you see that rundown in the corner, if any of those position numbers are green, that will mean that that team is moving up in the running order. If any of those position numbers are red, that will mean that the team has dropped a position over the course of the last mile. So as you check that out and see how your favorites are doing, just keep an eye on the leader and those green and red numbers. It'll show you who's moving up and who's going the other way here at the Milwaukee Mile, just past halfway.
You can see Greg's putting some laps on some really good trucks. He just lapped Mike Stefanik there, and he's got Mike Wallace right in front of him. So it shows you how tough he's actually running today. And
riding with Andy Houston, looking rearward from 12th place. He's got that red truck of Harvick behind him in 13th.
Andy's been real steady all year. He's been very consistent and had some good runs on the road courses. They were happy with the way they got through the Portland and Watkins Glen. And they're on the Speedway. They had a really good chance. They thought they had a chance to win the race there at Texas, but they came up a little short.
We were riding on board the Cat Rental Stores Chevrolet truck there moments ago, as we are again now. There's Andy's dad, Tommy Houston, ran here at the Milwaukee Mile when the NASCAR Busch Series first started coming to town.
You know, Tommy's a heck of a racer, boy. He's done all of them. He's done every racetrack there has been, and you know, he's one of the top Busch competitors there was for years.
I mean, we're just seeing graphic domination now. Riding with the Team ASE truck of Mike Wallace. Harvick in the 98, that Granger Ford you see, that's the race leader, who is now putting 14th place a lap down.
Wow, that's true. We came into this weekend, I told you Greg had a good truck and was probably run really good here at a flat racetrack, but with this domination, he's going to have to fight pretty hard. Wallace is going to give him a rough road to go to try and get around him, and I think is that the Cat machine right up there in front of him, too.
And Steve, you know, it's got to be tough for a guy like Timmy Cahuth, the crew chief from Mike Wallace. They're running well, but everybody's being made shambles of today by Biffle.
That's right, Eli. And Timmy, your driver, Mike Wallace, is struggling to keep from going a lap down. What is he saying about the truck?
Well, the truck's not that bad. We're about the same speed as the leader, but we need a caution right now just so we can get caught up. The truck's pretty good.
Cautions have been few and far between here on CBS Sports over the last few weeks. Caution-free in Michigan for the NASCAR Winston Cup teams a few weeks ago. And caution-free here today for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series in Milwaukee.
Well, on board Andy Houston there, you can see what he's fighting. He's got Greg Biffle on the left of him. He's got a lap truck up there in front of him.
Mike Wallace giving us the ride around the mile in 13th spot, but nobody able to keep pace with Greg Biffle. CBS Sports coverage of the Milwaukee 200 will continue after this message and a word from your local station. By this time a year ago, as you see Sprague and Hornaday battling for 4th and 5th. Sprague in that 24 truck while we ride with the Napa team of Hornaday. That battle between Biffle and Wallace might have ended up with somebody's fenders crunched in a year ago, because Biffle is so much more of a mature race truck driver now.
Exactly. I mean, I've raced with him this year. You know, I've raced first 8 races, and I think Greg's learned patience, and he's learned what it's take to win. I mean, he's got 2 wins under his belt, and he realizes you got to finish a race before you can win a race.
From the RC Dodge onboard camera, Stacy Compton watching 24 Sprague, the Napa Brakes truck, that is Ron Hornaday, and they are battling for position 4, 5, and 6, riding now with Hornaday.
Hornaday's pinching him down the middle, so Jack can't get a good run off, and we'll see where we're at. Jack's running for the points lead, and he's going to try and get a good finish here instead of touch a little fenders there on the side.
Jack Sprague does have a 68-point lead over Stacy Compton coming into the event today in the battle atop the standings. Steve?
Hey, just talked to Kevin Cram, the crew chief for Stacy Compton, Eli, and he's told Stacy to turn the wick up as he takes a look underneath Jack Sprague. We're starting to feel raindrops down here. He told Stacy to start pedaling harder in case rain ends this race early.
We are, of course, past halfway. Caution is on the speedway. Caution is on the speedway, and the raindrops have brought about the first caution flag of the afternoon, lap number 119. It is an official race as long as you get to the halfway point, which in our case was lap 100.
Pits are open. We're coming for left, still full of fuel, gang.
That made it official. There you see Tim Berman, the series chief starter from Roscoe, Illinois, showing the caution. By the way, Tim Berman's mom is fairly ill, and everybody in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series asked us to pass along our best to Tim's mom, who is watching today, and we are happy to be able to do so and wish her the very, very best.
That saved Mike Wallace from trying to get a lap down, as him and Greg Biffle were racing real hard there, and we can see there on the windshield there is some rain out there on the front of the Hornadays.
Now riding with Dennis Setzer, and the rain seems to have slackened some. We had a significant rain, although short-lived, at 9:30 this morning, and the weather forecasters here in Milwaukee were saying that we were going to be seeing blinding rain, possible hail, and so on, and that weather never did materialize. The wind kind of shifted and blew it back over towards the lake.
That's true. I mean, it's been really nice as a driver getting in a truck like today. Nice, cool conditions. You couldn't ask for a better racetrack, and actually a better nice and cool, and be in there and have a great race.
So we are under caution. Everybody came in for pit stops in the window between laps 70 and about 84.
Get it up there tight. Get it up there tight.
Interesting to see what Greg puts on here. They went for a 4-tire change under green. Looks like they're going to do left side tires here in fuel.
Most of the leaders are in. You've got Biffle on the top, Crawford in the middle, and here's Randy Tolsma in the 25 coming right in behind Biffle, who pulls away.
That's interesting with Crawford's truck. Earlier when they pitted, they changed right side tires, and this time they changed right side tires again. So it looks like you're going to have that whole racetrack, this whole race on the left side tires.
These stops are at lap 121, so certainly fuel is no concern from this point forward. Everyone can make it the distance as we are working the first caution flag of the afternoon as rain, albeit light, does begin to pelt down on the Milwaukee Mile. Jay Sauter electing not to make a pit stop, so he stays on the racetrack. Mike Wallace had not pitted, but now does come in to make a stop at lap 123. So Jay Sauter will inherit the lead by virtue of choosing not to make a pit stop. For the inside story on all that's going on here at the Milwaukee 200, why not log on to cbs.sportsline.com or on America Online. Just enter keyword CBS Sportsline. Well, this is the first caution flag of the day. Came out at lap 119 for a few raindrops here at the Milwaukee Mile. If you're new to NASCAR racing, although there have been some instances where on road courses Goodyear has introduced a rain tire. Basically, when rain hits, you got to slow down, if not stop, because these are treadless racing slicks.
Exactly.
So that's why this caution was thrown at lap number 119. Couple of names to talk about here. First time in the event after his injuries, Tim Steele running in 15th. He's a lap down, but great to see him back on the racetrack, and he's doing himself well today here at the Milwaukee Mile. Let's update you on all the pit stops, Glenn.
Okay, Eli, Greg Biffle came in, and they put on left side tires, filled it up with fuel. Should be their last stop. I moved down to Dennis Setzer. They also changed left side tires for the first time. Take a look at this left front tire that came off of his Dennis Setzer's truck, the #1 truck. You see it's worn clear down to the cord. However, the Goodyear officials here and the crew chief Howard Comstock told me they're not concerned about it, that this tire had over 120 laps on it in competition. That's normal wear. Goodyear checked it out, said it's okay, so they weren't concerned about this at all. Steve Burns?
Glenn, the first truck I checked on, Stacy Compton came in, took just right side tires. As Eli said, Jay Sauter did not pit, although it appears they're coming down pit road now. The crew told me they were hoping for a big rain shower, but truthfully, Eli, don't forget, these guys get 5 bonus points for leading a lap, just like the teams that we'll see tonight at Daytona Beach.
So that's why they make the move to stay out there, get the points, and now come into the attention of the crew.
They gave up the lead there, but we're under yellow anyway, but just puts him back to 12 since we got 12 trucks on the lead lap. So it wasn't a bad move, really.
Sunday night on 60 Minutes, why do politicians say the things they do? Because you told them to. That's Sunday on 60 Minutes, followed by Touched by an Angel. Then Jessica Lange and her Oscar-winning performance stars with Tommy Lee Jones in the CBS Sunday movie Blue Sky. That is Sunday on CBS. Well, we're getting set to go back to green.
This is usually where everything starts happening here.
It always does. You go caution-free for 119 miles, and the world starts going nuts on you.
You know, right off a rain shower, everybody's got cold tires, and guys are trying to make up their laps.
Truck's off.
Waiting for green.
Green flag. Inside, inside.
Stacy Compton did not come up to speed in the 86, and everybody did a great job to avoid hitting him and plowing into everybody else.
You can see Andy racing Greg real hard trying to get his lap back.
Again, you see the numbers on the rundown. The guys in green, those are the trucks that are moving up. Those in red are the ones who have lost positions here on the restart. Biffle is the leader. The 14 Crawford, that light blue truck, he is the second place machine. Stefanik ahead of him in the 66 is not on the lead lap, nor is the 60 who's running ahead of the 50 Houston. He is a couple of laps down. So the second truck and then the fourth truck are first and second on the leaderboard. Then you go back to Tolsma, Sprague, and Compton, your top five. Everybody's used their heads here on the restart.
Exactly. I mean, this is just like the start of the race right now, and you know, everybody's racing for 125 laps clean, and you know, now you're starting to race a little harder, getting a little higher up on the racetrack, and there's Mike Wallace running right up there behind Jimmy Hensley and Jay Sauter right now.
And the 3 Sauter, you saw that black truck in the picture as well. He has made that late pit stop. He is now in 11, 4 6/10 seconds behind the leader Biffle. And he's got plenty of time.
Oh, plenty of time, man. It's going to look like eternity with all those trucks up in front of me. You see Stacy battling Ron Barfield there real hard. And, there's Tim Steele on the outside of Rutland.
Compton, the 86, 55 Barfield. Makes the pass right there. That was for 6th place. Meanwhile, Biffle is going around the number 60 of Andy Houston. At 14, Crawford now closes in. So the 50 is the leader. The second truck is a couple of laps down Houston. And that light blue number 14. Rick Crawford in second. Crawford hasn't had a top 5 finish since Memphis back late last season when he finished 5th that day.
Well, you know he's hungry running up there, seeing the leader right behind Greg Biffle and watching him and Andy Houston battle there.
And around, oh, he saved it. Almost at around goes Houston. Tolsma, the 25, that's for position. Tolsma, the black truck, the blue truck, Crawford for position. And Randy Tolsma used his head.
Exactly. You know, he let Andy Houston gather it up there and went to the inside. And, you know, it could have been a bad situation and ended up to be a good situation. Shows you how this racetrack has no bank in it, but once it starts to go, the truck just starts to take off.
See everybody sorting themselves out. Watch Stacy Compton again in the 86 before. Way high in that Dodge.
Yeah, Stacy had a problem earlier in that. He got up in that little gray area right there, and that's where a lot of tire wear gets up there. And it's just like getting in a little sand and little crumbs, and you just slide right up the racetrack.
Compton is now in 12th place. He is 7.5 seconds behind the race leader. And Kevin Harvick in the 98. Getting close. The 99 is Mike Bliss. He is running in 12th now. Bliss a whole lot happier this weekend than last when he found himself in the pea gravel at Watkins Glen International.
Nothing you can do till they come get you there.
Lance Norrick in that red and yellow number 90. He's 3 laps down in 22nd. That, though, is for position. The 86 and the 98. That's 11th.
Clear. Clear all around.
And 12th.
Like Stacy's truck lost the handle a little bit. I mean, earlier in the race, he was running right there on the bottom of the racetrack. And now he's sliding up a little bit in the corners.
Yep, a lot of guys have gone the wrong way since the restart. Sprague is 4.5 seconds back, running in the 4th spot. Oh, and around they go. Marty Houston in the 75. The 90
behind you.
is
Caution
Lance
is out.
Norrick. The
Caution
73
is out.
is
Don't let
David
the
Starr. Norrick and Houston were battling for 22nd and 23rd. Starr was back in 25th as caution is out at lap 137.
Well, it looked like Lance has got significant damage to the back of that truck, and you know, it's going to be tough to put that one back out on the racetrack.
So Lance Norrick, Marty Houston, and David Starr. Starr is one of those drivers within shouting distance of the Rookie of the Year lead. He's 42 down to Stefanik, driving the Joey Sontag-owned truck. But that is Lance Norrick from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. A slow but painful synchronized spin up there in the corner.
Well, this
let's take a look and see who leaned where on what. Again, they're going for position. Right there, the red and yellow and the blue and white.
Looked like Marty Houston just lost it a little bit right there and took them both with him.
Might have come up on him, and now Starr in that white truck just locks up the brakes. And the important thing is, didn't make contact with Marty Houston.
Exactly, did a great job right there.
Leaders are in. Lap 136. Leaders.
Cut through anybody's pit.
Are in. Let's go to Glenn Jarrett.
Eli down here, Greg Biffle, remember, changed left sides the last time. It'll be right sides this time. They were good to go on fuel. Randy Tolzman also going to change right side tires. And Jack Sprague does lefts. He did rights last time. Here's Steve Burke.
Hey, Glenn, Jay Sauter just came down, took left side tires this time. Also, Mike Wallace came in and got service, so looks like we're set up for a shootout to the end now.
And indeed, we are at lap 137. Everyone can easily go the distance to wrap up the Milwaukee 200. We're coming right back with more on CBS Sports.
Hey, Glenn.
Back at the famous Milwaukee Mile on the Wisconsin State Fair Park in West Allis, Wisconsin. Don't forget, coming up when we move aside, the Pepsi 400 preview show. That is coming up next. Then this evening, 8 o'clock Eastern Time, live flag-to-flag network coverage of the Pepsi 400 from the World Center of Racing, Daytona International Speedway. Joe Nemechek, Ricky Rudd on the front row. Good qualifying efforts. Chad Little will start 4th. Rusty Wallace qualified 5th. 194 miles an hour plus the pole speed for Joe Nemechek. Here in Milwaukee, Stacy Compton does not make a pit stop, while the other leaders do at lap 136. Compton takes the lead. Curious about Biffle. Of the trucks that pitted, he came out in 7th, so not the smoothest of pit stops for Biffle. Lost a good bit on the pit lane as we get set to go back to green.
Go, 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 go.
Compton is the second truck in your picture, the race leader. The black 25, Randy Tolzma, is running 2nd. Everybody's sorting themselves out, but Glenn, Biffle's got a way to go now. What happened on the stop?
Yeah, Eli, he's buried in a lot of traffic back there, and if you like black comedy or comedy of errors, that's what happened down here. He came in very close to the end of his pit stall here. The NASCAR official was counting the number of guys over the wall. The crew guys looked up and thought he was pointing for them to move the truck back, afraid that he had overshot the pits. So they pushed the truck back a little bit and pushed it over the air hose. So they couldn't get the tires changed. They had to move it again. So as I said, just a comedy of errors cost him a lot of spots on the racetrack. It was kind of funny in one sense, but boy, there's none of these guys laughing.
I would think so. Meanwhile, the 14 truck, Crawford, the 25 Tolzma, they're going to go 3 wide for the lead. Heading into turn number 1, Crawford's got the top spot.
Wow.
So Crawford, who took on left side tires, makes the move to the front spot, and Compton just got squeezed out of the picture.
Exactly. You can tell how hungry Ricky is out there. He's running good. And, Randy Tolzman did a good job. He knew there would have been a problem there, and he backed off and gave him a... No, we got 58 laps to go, so essentially let's race him towards the end.
Rick Crawford is the leader, but don't forget 50 Biffle. Don't forget 16 Hornaday. Always in the equation with 57 laps to go.
Biffle's had a dominating truck all day. We'll see if he can keep that up and work his way through this traffic.
Biffle is 2.8 seconds behind the leader. Biffle is there. Meanwhile, Sprague and Compton. That's for 3rd place. Give it to Jack. So Jack Sprague will grab the spot away from Stacy Compton.
It probably hurt Stacy a little bit not taking on tires, and everybody else took them on, but probably wanted to get those 5 bonus points.
Further back, Biffle in the 50. Works to the inside of Brian Reffner in the number 7. Brian used to come here helping his dad when he was a youngster. I mean, like 7, 8, 9 years old. Biggest track he'd ever seen, he said. He's just happy to be racing here again in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. '66, Mike Stefanik having himself a good run, a lap down in 14th spot. He is the rookie leader, Stefanik is.
Biffle working his way on the back of Barfield there, and Hornaday trying to follow him. But you can see Greg's truck's working real good. You can see how he run the bottom of that, right off the bottom of the corner. And it looks like Jack's coming back, too. I mean, he's pulling right up on the back of the 25.
The leader still Rick Crawford. Meanwhile, Steve Compton is not getting off the corners nearly as well as before.
He's not, Eli, but you know what? Rick Corelli's pretty sharp up there. He was exactly right. Stacy Compton is racing for a championship. He came in here second in points. They wanted the 5 bonus points to lead a lap, and that's why they stayed out.
The proverbial big picture, if you will.
Exactly. I mean, we all race for that, you know, at the end of the year. But, you know, each race, you got to get through each race. And, you know, Stacy and this team's done a great job this year. They've raced very smart. You know, with 12 trucks on the lead lap, you know, there's another caution, come in and get tires and maybe race them back, pick up some more positions.
That's a good ongoing battle there, Tolsma and Sprague. If you're a Lance Norrick fan, they're not going to be able to get their truck fixed after that spin back at lap 137. They are done for the day. The leader is still Rick Crawford, who has only been once all year. Those were 3 laps back at Phoenix International Raceway. But his comfortable lead is now only 1 1/10 over that battle right there. Tolsma
Jack's blowing the horn a little
coming
bit.
Through.
Looks like he's got a good run up here up the front straightaway here. And looks like Jack's going to get the position too.
When do you get ticked off with a guy for doing that? When do you just accept it as racing?
Well, you just accept it, but Randy may give him a little shot coming back here if he gets back in traffic. And he knew, and Randy's been smart. He's trying to finish. You know, he's had some good runs and some bad runs. And he's trying to bring the truck home in one piece and actually have a good run here.
Randy Tolsma doing well. They are 1 3/10 seconds behind that man, Rick Crawford, who, as we mentioned earlier, is still the track record holder here for the NASCAR Slim Jim All-Pro Series.
We got Mike Wallace just went by Stacy Compton there. We remember earlier in the broadcast as him and Greg Biffle were running, and he had about the same speed truck that he did. So Mike's did a good job, stayed on the lead lap, and here he's racing Stacy for position.
Wallace in the 2, Stacy Compton in the 86. Stefanik is the 66. He is a lap down in 14th.
That's what really frustrates you. You know you can run with the leaders up there, and you get lapped early in the race, and here you are racing up there with the guys from position, and you're a lap down. But he's done a great job all year.
Now all of a sudden we are under brilliant sunshine here in Milwaukee. How does this affect the handling characteristics of these trucks?
Well, obviously, a lot of guys have been talking about their trucks being tight. You know, we get some sun on the racetrack, it's going to free the trucks up. So anybody that's made the adjustment to go farther past to free their truck up, it's going to get a little freer now that we get more sunlight on the racetrack. And it's going to help some guys, and it probably hurt some guys.
CBS Sports is live in Milwaukee following Rick Crawford in search of a victory here at the Milwaukee Mile with 48 laps remaining. That man has been dominant today. Biffle in the 50, but right now he's no better than 3rd because Rick Crawford continues to show the way by 1 4/10 seconds.
Yeah, guys, you know, Biffle has, as you said, Eli, has had one of the fastest trucks all day. And when that restart started, he was so far back in the pack, they kept telling him on the radio, Greg, be patient. You've got the truck to still win the race. Just be careful coming up through that traffic. He got a little He got him a little anxious a couple times there, going real wide in the corners, but now things are strung out, and he has really gotten the thing dialed back in. He's running the laps, the line around the racetrack that he wants to run, and so now he's starting to click off some of the quickest laps of anybody. He is slowly but surely gaining on the leaders, and they're telling him, Greg, just keep doing what you're doing, be patient, it'll come to you.
His truck is the only one going faster than 117 miles an hour, 117.329, compared to the race leader, Rick Crawford, at 116.381. So we're talking about a mile-an-hour speed difference there, Rick Corelli.
Exactly. You can see where he just passed Mike Wallace, and you can see the lead that he stretched on Wallace. He's probably opened up about 10 or 12 truck lengths, you know, in about 2 laps. So that's showing you, actually, Greg Biffle, what the patience he's had is they coached him through that.
That's 6th and 7th. Compton in the 86. The black 3 is Jay Sauter. Sauter led a couple, making 3 laps earlier today. Compton led from laps 138 through 141. Each picking up those bonus points. Down to the final 39 miles here of the Milwaukee 200.
Stacy's holding on too, and Jay's trying to get a good line to try and where he can work up underneath him or something. But Stacy's truck seems to be really strong up off that corner once he gets appointed.
These fellas are 7 seconds behind the race leader, so for the moment they're not so concerned with chasing Crawford, more so worried about their own little private battle.
Exactly. You know, you don't want to give no positions up behind you, and you want to try and gain some positions in front of you. So, you know, he's racing him real hard right there, and you know, Mike Stefanik, he's had a great run all day, and unfortunately, he just got lapped early in the race.
That 66 Stefanik, he has done something in the last 2 years that's unprecedented.
37 laps to go.
The last 2 years, Stefanik won both the NASCAR Busch North Series Championship and the NASCAR Featherlight Modified Tour Championship in the same season. He's done it twice now, and now has stepped up to the Craftsman Truck Series of NASCAR. There's Ron Hornaday, 8 2/10 seconds back of Rick Crawford. Hornaday is an 8th. And there's 9th place, 55 Barfield, 99 Bliss.
Dennis Sensor right behind him there.
Right, Dennis is an 11th. Also on the lead lap, Jimmy Hensley is on the lead lap as well. Those 12 trucks that we've been talking about on the lead lap, and you see on the rundown, Sauter and Hornaday in green moving up. Same with Bliss and Setzer. 12, Hensley moving down a position to 12. Up the old squeeze play. Bo Carpenter's truck in the way.
Looks like Dennis got a piece of him there a little bit in the back, but nothing came out of it.
Bill Venturini is crew chiefing that Bo Carpenter truck, which was purchased from Dave Marcus Racing. That was a truck that Dave Marcus had in Martinsville a couple of years ago. Never did run a race.
It shows you can bring him out of mothballs and still put him out here and get some experience here on a big racetrack.
They put the new nose on it, but otherwise, Bo just wanted a truck to get some experience, and here he is. He made the field.
That's the best way to get it, too. You know, these trucks drive a little different than cars, and you can get out here and master one of these trucks. You're going to be a lot better race car driver.
43 Hensley on the lead lap. 21 Tim Steele. He is a lap down in 16th, and there's the race leader by 1 second now over Jack Sprague. Take a look here and find your favorites as they go by. You'll know exactly where everybody's running. The coach just went by, Jerry Glanville. He's running 8 laps down in 26th, but still out there. Just tuning in, only 2 cautions. One for a brief rain shower at lap 119 and one for a 3-truck spin at lap 137, as here's 6th place now. Up for grabs, Sauter and Compton. Jay Sauter has had a number of second-place finishes here. Ran well in the American Speed Association. The ASA just never was able to get to victory lane.
You know, Jay's run great in every vehicle that he's driven in. And, you know, the truck series here has been really good for him, and sometimes it's been a little bad for him. But you can see here, if you get a bad run up off the corner, he's got to run right there on the outside of Stacy. He's going to try that turn right underneath him. That's Pat and Hornaday move right there.
If you're a Jeff Andretti fan, they have just parked his truck. In ignition failure, the problem for Mario Andretti's youngest son, Jeff Andretti.
Whoa.
Wow, how about a power move? Give it to Hornaday.
He ran him right up the racetrack. I was going to say he wasn't going to be as nice as Jay was racing him there, but you know, it's getting to that time of the racetrack where you need to get what you can get.
Clear. Don't drive it in too hard.
Hornaday's up to 6th. Yeah, don't drive it in too hard. You listen to Stacy Compton's radio, and with 30 laps to go, I guess you're going to try everything.
Exactly. You know, Ron's on a little fresher tires than Stacy, too, and, you know, that's a wise move. You know, Ron's trying to finish in front of Stacy because they're battling each other for points, and he didn't get to lead a lap today, and Stacy has. And, you know, you don't want to give up any more, but Jay's working there on the bottom, and there's Mike Bliss right behind him.
Compton is 22 points ahead of Hornaday in the standings. Of course, both men trail Jack Sprague. This taking place mid-pack. Up front, Rick Crawford still showing the way, but it is becoming a battle because Jack Sprague, you see in the 24, has closed in. Typical Dennis Conner, Jack Sprague kind of racing, Steve Burns.
Hey, exactly, Eli. I was talking to some of the guys on the 24 team, and they told me that Dennis Conner consults very frequently, every week, several times a week, with Ray Evernham, who is Jeff Gordon's crew chief. And surprisingly, they said that he talks to Evernham perhaps more than the Winston Cup teammate, the two other teammates than Jeff Gordon. So, again, he's a very frequent contributor to this team. A lot of the technology transfers. And Eli, don't forget, Rick Crawford's only win in this series was at Homestead, and he outdueled Jack Sprague to the finish.
On a track very similar to this, a flat racetrack. This is a good scramble ongoing here. This whole deal for 6th, 7th, 8th place. Compton, Sauter, Bliss, then the lap truck of Stefanik. Then 1 is Setzer, 55 Barfield. The blue and white 18 is Ruttman, all scrambling for position. Of course, they were as much as 18 seconds behind the leader, and in some instances, down a lap in the case of Stefanik and Ruttman.
We can see Jack reeling in Rick Crawford there. And,
so's the 50.
50's right there. Greg's got a great truck.
And Glenn, remember that Biffle has led 4 times for 69 laps here today. So he's all of a sudden back in the picture.
Oh, Eli, he's the class of the field right now. He's consistently 0.2 of a lap quicker. Back on lap 161, he was 3.6 seconds behind. The last time by, he was 0.4 of a second by. In only 13 laps, he closed in. He closed in over 3.2 seconds. So I tell you what, he is on the move. If nothing happens, Greg Biffle is really going to make these guys pay the price.
Meanwhile, Rick Crawford is watching this over his rear view saying, have at it, fellas.
Exactly. And Jack's truck's getting a little wide. You notice when he was catching Rick, he was running that high line, running real wide up the racetrack, and now he's pinching it down there on the bottom, trying to make Greg get to the outside of it. They lose a couple truck lengths to Rick Crawford there. So if these guys can race with each other, maybe Crawford can get himself a win right here at Milwaukee.
You know, it's an overused statement on these racing broadcasts, but it's true. Catching a guy is one thing, passing him is another.
Exactly, especially here at Milwaukee. You can see a lot of guys, you may be a bunch better than somebody, but you need that good run up off the corner to use the horsepower to get down the front straightaway. And if you're not getting through that corner, that's what justifies the front straightaway. You've seen Biffle run him down, but now you see Jack went defensive, and now he's starting to run the wide line again to try and catch Crawford. And Biffle's running that low line and probably catch Jack here in about a lap.
Looking on to see who's going to grab the win in Milwaukee. New leader in the Milwaukee 200. Just seconds ago, Biffle got the lead from Crawford, and now they get together on the main straightaway. Everybody saves their truck. Sprague will grab second. Crawford is back to third. It happens that quickly on the flat Milwaukee Mile. Biffle had made the move in turns 3 and 4. And then you joined us in time to see the fireworks here on this July 4th weekend on the main straightaway.
Exactly. Rick Crawford had a good lead going, and we knew Greg was gnawing on that lead every bit of the way. And here he is back here up in front, and he's been the class truck of the whole field, actually.
Greg Biffle's crew, family, all looking on as he hopes for yet another victory. He has been far and away the truck here in the last few weeks on the series.
Exactly. Greg's run great everywhere, actually. And you can see Jack trying to get a run at him getting in the corner, but Greg's going to drive right away coming up off. Jack's trying to pull out everything he got to try and catch him, but it's going to be tough.
Track till you get the lappers.
Let's go back moments ago. This was the scramble off turn 2 for the lead on lap 182.
Yeah, you can see Greg got the inside position. You know, Rick probably thought that lap truck was going to be a pick for him, and Greg got underneath him, get a good run. Here's Rick trying to get back at him, and gets a good run up off the corner there.
Steve, the Crawford bunch did all they could.
Yeah, and we're trying to get a word in here with George Church, talking to the rest of the crew about Rick Crawford. George, can Rick get back to the front, and can he pass him?
I don't know. We're running hard as we can. The 50 truck got by us. We got back on even when he kind of gave us the wheel. It might have bumped a toe out a little bit. We're trying as hard as we can. Rick did a good job today. The Circle Bar race team is awesome.
Rick Corelli, for those who are new to the sport, bumping the toe out a little bit means what?
Exactly. I mean, you set the toe, and we usually run about an 1/8-inch toe out here in the truck. And you bump that wheel to the left front or something, it'll knock the toe in, or it could make a toe out. It's going to make the truck scrub through the middle corner. It's going to make the front end push. If it gets a little toe in, it's going to make the truck loose getting in. It just changes everything. I mean, we usually put a piece of tape on the wheel, and it actually tells you if that actually happens. So you can see Rick, he's probably a little frustrated now, but I mean, he has nothing to be ashamed of. He's had a great run all day. He's been up front all day.
There again, you see the colors. The red, like for Jay Sauter, means he has lost a position. The green for Tim Steele means he has gained a position. If it's just the black background, like Harvick and Sawinski, they have held their positions on the racetrack. This is 9th place on your screen now. Tolsma, the 25. Compton, the 86. The black number 3 of Sauter. 13 laps from the finish.
Get those teammates racing together. We'll see how we can end out here.
73, David Starr, after involved in that spin earlier. You see him out there racing once more. 55, Barfield, a good day in 11th. And Stefanik again, the 66 and 13th spot. You know, I was going to say, you know what we're looking at now? You talk about the parity in this division. If this does not change, we'll have the 5th different winner in 5 races here in Milwaukee for this series.
I mean, it goes to show you how tough it is actually here to run on a racetrack and conquer a racetrack like this.
That's 5th place right there.
Well, Mike Bliss, he gets around here real well, and he always seems to save his truck right towards the end. And but you know, catching Ron Hornaday is one thing, and passing is going to be another thing. But you know, Bliss is going to give it everything he's got. And you know, they're teammates, him and Biffle, so maybe he helped him out.
Bliss doing double duty here this week, and he's going to stick around and run the NASCAR Busch Series race here tomorrow. Lyndon Amick was the driver of record earlier in the year, and now Bliss. And there you see Sauter and Compton. That's 9th place.
Looks like Jay's got him coming up out of that corner now. It's 10 to go right now.
I'll tell you, no tires at lap 136 for Compton. Not that we were empowered with making the decision, but it's cost him.
Right now, it's, you know, they got their 5 bonus points, but they're losing positions on the racetrack. So that's one thing, and you shoot for a high side and hope maybe you're only 12 trucks on the lead lap, and maybe you can get another pit stop and come back in and get your tires, but it didn't happen for him. And you see Mike Bliss here racing Ron Hornaday real hard.
5th, 6th, and 7th. Hornaday, Bliss, Dennis Setzer. Then Compton behind them, a few truck lengths back.
Looks like Mike's got a good turn underneath him right there and see if he can beat him down the back straightaway.
We're staying with this battle. Things are pretty steady up front. It's still 0.7 of a second for Biffle over Sprague. This is where the action is on the racetrack right now for 5th spot.
They're not careful. There he goes. Dennis Sensor's going to look like he's going to get underneath Hornaday too.
Clear behind the one.
So Dennis Setzer and Bliss both with the moves around Hornaday. That'll drop Hornaday back to 7th in the number 16 truck.
You know, this is where you're pedaling as hard as you can. You're starting to hear everything, and the truck's starting to slip and slide around a bunch. And you know, and if you got anything left, you try and go get the guy in front of you because you know he's trying to get as hard as he can. And here you see Jay getting a good run on Randy Tolsma.
Tolsma has 8th. Not a bad run for Tolsma, though I expect if we put a microphone in his face, he'll be disappointed. He thought the new truck, had more than an 8th place finish in it.
Exactly. I mean, he ran really good early in the race. He led the race, and it seemed like that last pit stop, they may have made a different adjustment, or he might have got a bad set of tires, and the truck just didn't respond to it as well. And, you know, you can say that you don't get a bad set of tires, but I've had some tires you put them on, and all of a sudden there's nothing. You put another set on, and the truck comes right to life.
Both Tolsma and Sauter having settled their position down. You see that Biffle is still the race leader. He has a 1-second advantage on the 2nd place truck, Jack Sprague, right there. Red, white, and blue are the colors for this July 4th weekend, but on the racetrack it is red, black, and white. Greg Biffle's colors that may well be the ones waving over the Milwaukee Mile.
And you can see how far back Rick Crawford's falling now. He probably got the toe in knocked out a little bit when they got together up here on the front straightaway.
He's 3 1/10 behind Biffle.
I mean, Biffle's been a clinic here this weekend. He unloaded fast, and he set on the pole, and he's dominated the race. His truck's been running right on the bottom of the racetrack all day, where everybody else is running 1.5 car lengths up.
Now the leader is in traffic. He's got Brian Ruffner in the 7th to deal with.
Outside.
There's a good courtesy move there, Brian Ruffner and David Starr. They knew they were getting lapped, and they had nothing else to gain. There was a leader, and they just pulled aside and gave Greg the lane.
And now there's a good bit of clean racetrack, as you see, from Biffle ahead towards some of the other lap trucks. He comes in on the Bo Carpenter machine. Carpenter 20 laps down in 28th spot. Shag and Biffle, baby. He's getting the job done. Everybody looking on with 198 laps on the board. It'll be the white flag next time by.
That's when you start hearing all those little gremlins in the truck.
Against the track, buddy.
You can tell he's got a little loose coming up out of the corners, too. He ain't backing off.
And all he does have to race now is the track. Traffic should not be a major factor. Coming to the white flag that Tim Berman will display over the Milwaukee Mile. One more lap around.
Pressure from behind. No pressure from behind. White flag.
No pressure because Sprague right there is 2.1 seconds back.
No pressure at all.
Looking for the 3rd win of his career and the 3rd of the year. Having won in Memphis and Portland, Oregon. Add the Milwaukee Mile to Greg Biffle's list of wins. He takes the Milwaukee 200.
Good job, Greg. Great job.
To say the very least.
Exactly. I mean, that's like a dream come true when you had a truck that dominating all day. And, you know, to dominate the race like he did with the field, the competitiveness of this Craftsman Truck Series is something to say about where Greg Biffle is going and is coming.
And Glenn, basically, flag to flag, he wins it from the pole.
Truck takers are strong today. And Greg, you make sure you smell them.
Well, guys, Randy Goss has just started climbing down. As I said, he's very, very sore right now, and radio is in there with him. We'll step in right now. And Randy, I know you're in a little bit of pain, but boy, if there's anything to help relieve it, this does.
Boy, what can I say? The Granger team is just awesome today. And I kind of messed them up on that last call. I thought we were over the line when the pit marshal pointed at it. I made them push them back, and I got them off sync and screwed one of their best pit stops up. But Greg recovered for us and won the race for the Granger Ford F-150.
Well, congratulations. We'll let you go on to victory lane to celebrate. We'll see you there.
The 4th win of the year by a pole sitter on the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, and the 25th time a pole sitter has taken the checkered flag. Thanks a lot. Meanwhile, to victory lane we go. Glenn Jarrett.
And Greg Biffle is climbing out of the truck, getting the cheers, the accolades from his crew and the fans around him. Hop on down here, man. Boy, what an awesome truck that was.
I'll tell you what, I got to give credit to those guys back at the shop. They do a great job, you know, and all the bodywork guys and the paint, and they just keep great trucks for us. Every time we show up, we got awesome trucks, and my hat's off to the crew. And I tell you, the Granger F-150, today was Ford's day. I mean, Rick Crawford had a great run. We had a great run. I tell you, these Fords are going, and I just need to thank Granger. I want to say hi to everybody back home, Mom and Dad. They couldn't make this one, and everybody at the pub. It was an awesome win.
And it was an awesome win. Now, let me ask you this. You talked about they keep giving you good trucks, and for the last few weeks, you have been the truck to beat. Greg, what has made the difference?
I think it's the trucks that they're giving me and the experience that I'm gaining that week to week. And, you know, I came right out of late model stock car racing right into these trucks. And, you know, everybody wishes they could do that, and it's a fairy tale story, but just plain experience, and these guys giving me great equipment, and I was communicating good.
Well, you can tell that communication is right these days. He had to pedal a little harder in the closing laps than he wanted to there, but he got the job done. This was definitely the fastest truck all weekend. They unloaded quick, they qualified quick, they raced quick, and now they're in victory lane.
And Jack Sprague brought the Chevy in second place. Tell us about the run, Jack.
It was a good run for us. The guys did a great job once again. Not quite the truck I had last year, but, you know, with a new body, we're trying to get it, you know, we know we need to do things different to make a run, but, hey, the guys had great pit stops all day. We didn't win it, but we came home second. That's great for GMAC and the points race, and, you know, everything involved. You can't win all the battles, just got to try to win the war, and we'll win our share of battles, but, you know, I can't say enough about this whole team.
Well, you've got some teammates running a little race tonight down in Daytona. Jeff Gordon, Terry Labonte, Wally Dallenbach. Will you watch the race, Jack? Will you watch your teammates?
Oh, sure I will. I watch every race, but, you know, that's my dream is to race Winston Cups. Everybody knows. But, you know, we're staying here tonight and flying out in the morning, so I'll be parked right there in the RV and watching the Winston Cup race and cheering for them and hoping one of them can bring it home.
All right, best of luck next week. Let's go to Glenn Jarrett.
Okay, thanks, Stephen. I'm standing by here. Rick Crawford kind of cooling down a little bit. What a great run. Third, your best finish of the year, and looks like maybe you guys have found something again. It's been a struggle for you, but you had an awfully good truck today, Rick.
Awfully good truck. Thanks to Tom Mitchell and the whole Circle Bar race team. I mean, Robert Yates' engine's under the hood with Bill Pink and John Goodwin doing the tune-em on them. I mean, once you put the hood pins in, you can just about forget about it. Let the big dog eat down the straightaway. But what's really turned this team around, we've done some reorganization in the shop and at the racetrack. And we know we got good equipment. We know we got good people. So we just put it to good use. And it's just one of them things that had to gel before you could run up front. And today was especially a good day for us. We had a great truck from the time we got here till the time we finished. So I really appreciate everybody and all the hard work.
Okay, Rick, thanks a lot. Congratulations on a great run. Let's go back to Steve.
Thank you, Glenn. Mike Wallace. Mike, look awful hot. You had to struggle out there for a while today.
Well, we had to struggle the whole race long. Unfortunately, our truck, you know, we just could never hit the setup dead on all race long. And when we come in under green and put 4 tires on under the Ford F50 Ultra Motorsports ASE team, it went, but we needed that track position. The problem was Biffle was on our butt. I had to drive as hard as I could for 20 laps. Probably used our stuff up a little bit, but, you know, all in all, coming from 23rd under the adversity that we did, the team did a great job on green flag pit stops. You know, that was, I think, a key to keeping us in the hunt. A lot of guys that were ahead of us got a lap down. You know, the driver did a pretty good job getting down pit road and getting off pit road. And, you know, that's kind of what championship teams are made of. I'd like to say hi to Jim and Marlene Smith. You know, they're not here this weekend, but, Jim, we did the best we could. And, you know, we finished in the top 5. You know, we keep digging away on those points. And, you know, it's just a good weekend for Team ASE.
All right, great run, Mike Wallace. Let's go back upstairs, Eli Gold.
Steve, thanks. A Ford wins it, and a Ford finishes 3rd, 4th, and 5th. The lone Chevrolet in the top 5 belonging to Jack Sprague, who, interestingly now, in the 4 races in Milwaukee in which he's run, has finished 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Everybody to the Milwaukee Mile, where Greg Biffle has taken the victory in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series Milwaukee 200. Meanwhile, Mike Bliss came home with a strong top 5 finish. Let's hear from him.
Yes, he did, and he's still a little bit tired, a little bit hot and sweaty. These hot, humid days are tough on you, aren't they, Mike? But to tell you what, you came from a lap back at one time to finish 5th. That's a pretty good run.
We had a real good truck. We had a tight truck at first, then we got real loose on adjustment, then we got real tight at the end, but the side Ford ran excellent all day. You know, all in all, when you got behind someone, it was too tight. But I tell you, it was a heck of a race. You know, that racing out there was tough. You know, if anybody doesn't think this truck series is dying, they're crazy. They need to watch WWF or something, because this NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series is here to live, and it's a great racing.
Well, it is. You know, and now you've run 200 miles here. You're hot and sweaty, but your day's not over yet. You still got a bush car to go practice.
Yeah, I'll cool down here and go after that, but I'll put some more cooling in there for tomorrow. I learned something today. You know, we need to get some more cooling in there and some more water. But, you know, I'm happy for Greg Biffle. Thank him for giving my lap back, and real excited about finishing top 5. You know, you don't think that's very good, but just watch every race every weekend. It's tough to finish top 5.
Well, I tell you what now. When you run the truck like this at a place like Milwaukee, there are a lot of things you can learn. Does it help you for the next day's race when you run the truck here, and do you pick up some things that you can use tomorrow?
Really, yeah, a ton. I mean, air pressure is critical. 1 pound changed the whole truck. So the sun came out. I asked them if the sun was out. They said, yep, and I kind of took that in my mind. So, yeah, I mean, this helps for tomorrow on the racetrack. I can use that for that 35 push car.
Okay, I want to wish you luck in tomorrow's race, and let's go back to Steve Burns.
Thanks, Glenn. We've caught up with a hot and exhausted Jay Sauter. Jay, it was an up-and-down day for you. Tell us about your afternoon.
Well, we were fair early. We weren't great, and, you know, kind of thought we had the chassis set where it would come to us, but we adjusted on it with 4 tires, and it just didn't get any better. You know, we would get it too tight or too loose, and then with about 60 to go, the temperature went up to about 270 degrees, and when the temperature went up, she got hot inside the truck, and motor started to fall off a little bit. We just hung on. It was just an up-and-down day, and we missed it.
Jay, we talked to you at the top of the show about racing here in your home state. Any special feelings after the race?
Well, it whipped my butt today. That's all I can say. I'll tell you what, you know, this Goodwrench team, they worked hard all day. They didn't give up. I didn't give up. Got tough going there at the end, but we'll be back at Nashville next week.
Hey, Jay, tell us about your teammates tonight. Dale Earnhardt, Mike Skinner racing for Richard Childress Racing. Will you be able to watch the race and root them on?
Absolutely. I expect to finish 1-2 at Daytona.
All right, let's go back to Eli.
All right, guys, thanks a lot as Jay Sauter cools down. Let's take a look at the finishing numbers and the results here today. Solid run. We've already talked to those gentlemen right there, with Greg Biffle picking up the victory here at the Milwaukee Mile today. Mike Bliss, Dennis Setzer, Ron Hornaday, and Randy Tolsma. Rick Corelli, I think, with the given of that new machine, the new truck, he did himself okay.
Oh, definitely. He had a great run for himself. And, you know, he showed he could run up front, and he finished up front.
Stacy Compton in 10th. Jimmy Hensley coming home in 12th here today. Top finishing rookie once more, Mike Stefanik. I believe he's got this business figured out.
Exactly. Mike Stefanik's a great racer. That's what people don't realize. He's driven all forms of automobiles, modifieds, bush cars, and now he's into trucks. And, you know, he ran good all day. If he wouldn't have got down a lap early, he probably could have been able to bid up there, because he was running with Bliss, Sensor, Hornaday, and everybody, and he had to give way since he was a lap down.
Rob Morgan coming home in 22nd. There's the coach, 26th today. And on towards those who had problems. Norick involved in an accident. Ignition problems for Andretti. Hansen with the engine problems. Dillon, Bonifield, and Rush all parking their trucks early in the running of the Milwaukee 200. But a beautiful day. Some of the fans choosing to leave, as you see, but others are going to stick around, because after all the victory lane ceremonies are done, the NASCAR Busch Series will be out for practice runs, because they run here tomorrow. Of course, coming up tomorrow, the Busch Series, but next couple of weeks, the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series returns here to CBS Sports, Nashville Speedway, USA, High Bank Short Track next weekend, and then the Nazareth Speedway, the Napa Auto Care 200 coming up 2 weeks from tomorrow. Rick Corelli, how about yourself, battling back from the injuries in Memphis? When can we hope to see you back out there behind the wheel?
Well, you know, my eye's going to dictate what I do, but I'm shooting for September. I'd love to run a race in September. It's given me some great experience here. I've seen on both sides of it now. I've seen the broadcast booth and the truck, and I don't know which one tougher. I told you earlier that I was sweating more up here in the booth than I would be in the truck, but I had a great time today.
For those of you who aren't familiar, it was back in Memphis, Tennessee when the Craftsman Truck Series ran there that Rick Corelli was involved in this accident going off into turn number 3.
Well, that was a heck of a lick there, wasn't it?
Yeah. Those walls just do not give at all. And I guess the tough thing there, too, on top of everything else, is that you kind of had a little forewarning of what was coming.
Yeah, you know, exactly. I remember the whole incident. You know, I ran into the back of Lance and Oregon and got the fender knocked in. Earlier in the race, Bobby Hamilton spun out, and I flat spotted the right front tire, I think. And we're really determined what happened. Some people said left front blew. I determined that the right front blew. But when we got the truck home, the right front cross member was worn, too. And, you know, it just goes to show you, when those tires are smoking, you need to come in.
What you are seeing, though, is the fact that the crowds for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series are on the upswing. That's been a big storyline this year.
Oh, exactly. I mean, people don't realize how tough this series actually is until you get out there and compete in it. And, you know, just like Mike Bliss was talking about earlier, you know, a top 5 finish is like a win, really.
Really is. Of course, Greg Biffle enjoying that victory here today. 88 laps he led, and folks don't quite appreciate sometimes what it takes to get dialed in and to stay there like that.
You know, that's a racer's dream come true. I mean, he had a truck that he could go back there and buy his time, not put himself in a situation where he couldn't get out of, and race for the win. And, you know, it came out right there at the end. He was right there in victory lane and won it.
Rick, thanks for joining us. We look forward to talking about you instead of with you next time. Take care.
Thank you very much, Eli.
That's going to do it for our coverage from Milwaukee. For Rick Corelli, Glenn Jarrett, and Steve Burns, I'm Eli Gold saying so long from West Allis, Wisconsin, where Greg Biffle led 88 laps and has won the 1999 Milwaukee 200. Coming up next, it is off to the Daytona International Speedway for a live preview of tonight's Pepsi 400. And don't forget, at 8 p.m. Eastern Time tonight, CBS Sports is proud to present live flag-to-flag coverage of the Pepsi 400.